You're sitting across from her at a quiet dinner. The conversation is easy, natural. Then she reaches for her wine glass and her hand brushes yours. Just barely. She doesn't pull away immediately. There's a half-second pause, maybe less, but you felt it, and here's what most men miss. That wasn't an accident. Not really. When a woman is genuinely interested, her body starts doing things her words won't say yet. Small things, things she can dismiss as coincidence if you don't respond. But they're not coincidence, they're invitations wrapped in plausible deniability. And the man who's lived long enough to notice these moments without reacting like a teenager, he's already 10 steps ahead. I'm going to walk you through 3 specific things women do near you when they want you badly but aren't ready to say it out loud. These aren't the obvious signals younger guys look for. These are quieter, more deliberate, and they only work on men who've learned to pay attention without staring. If you appreciate this kind of insight, go ahead and subscribe to Mature Instincts. This channel is built for men who understand that the best signals are the ones most people miss entirely. Let's start with something that happens more than you'd think. She finds reasons to be in your physical space without asking permission. Not in an aggressive way, not like she's crowding you, but she positions herself closer than the situation requires. You're standing in the kitchen at a party, and she walks up to grab something from the counter right next to you. There's plenty of room on the other side, but she chooses your side. You're in a bookstore, and she's suddenly looking at the same shelf you're browsing, even though she was 3 aisles over a minute ago. You're at a work event, and during the break, she ends up standing near you while talking to someone else, close enough that you can smell her perfume. Close enough that if either of you shifted slightly, you'd be touching. Here's what this means. When a woman wants to be near you, she creates proximity without making it obvious. She's not asking for your attention outright because that would require vulnerability. Instead, she's testing whether you notice, whether you're comfortable with her being close, whether you lean in or pull back. Most men either don't register it at all or they get nervous and create distance without realizing it. The mature man, he notices. He stays calm. He doesn't rush to fill the space with words or move away like he's been caught doing something wrong. He simply allows the moment to exist. That's the key. You're not supposed to do anything dramatic. You just let her be there. Maybe you acknowledge her with a slight smile. Maybe you keep doing what you are doing, but with a relaxed awareness that she's chosen to be near you. That comfort you showed, that's what she's looking for. It tells her you're not rattled by a woman's presence, that you've been here before, that you're not going to misread the moment and make it awkward. The second thing is even more subtle. She touches objects that belong to you or that you've just touched. You set your phone down on the table, and a moment later she picks it up to look at the case or asks what kind it is. You're wearing a watch, and she reaches over to gently turn your wrist so she can see it better. You hand her a menu, and her fingers linger on yours just a fraction longer than necessary. Or maybe you're showing her something on your laptop, and instead of just looking at the screen, she rests her hand on the edge of the keyboard, right where your hand was a second ago. This isn't about the object, it's about the connection to you. When a woman does this, she's creating a physical link without being overt. Touching your things is the safest way to touch you without actually touching you. It's a rehearsal, a way of closing the distance while maintaining the appearance of casual curiosity. What she's really doing is seeing how you respond to her in your space. Does it bother you? Do you tense up, or do you stay easy and unbothered? The man who understands this doesn't make a big deal out of it. He doesn't snatch his phone back or act territorial. He also doesn't get overly excited and read too much into it out loud. He just lets it happen. He might even hand her something else, a book he's reading, his jacket if she mentions being cold. He's not performing, he's simply matching her energy. Calm, present, unfazed. And that response tells her everything. It tells her you're not starved for attention, that a woman touching your things doesn't short-circuit your nervous system, that you've had women interested in you before and you know how this dance works. The third thing is the one most men completely overlook. She mirrors your routine or rhythm without making it obvious. You take a sip of your drink, and a moment later she takes a sip of hers. You lean back in your chair, and within a few seconds she does the same. You cross your arms during a conversation, and she shifts her posture to match. You laugh at something, and she laughs just after, even if the joke wasn't that funny. This is called mirroring, and it's one of the most reliable indicators of attraction that exists. When someone is drawn to you, their body starts unconsciously syncing with yours. It's a subconscious attempt to create harmony, to show that she's on your wavelength. But here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes it's not entirely unconscious. A woman who's socially aware and interested in you will do this on purpose, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that says, I'm trying to connect with you. I want you to feel like we're in sync. And she'll do it subtly enough that if you called it out, she could laugh it off. But it's there, you can feel it if you're paying attention. Now, the reason this works so well on mature men is that younger guys don't even notice it. They're too busy thinking about what to say next or worrying about whether they're being interesting enough. But a man with experience, he's learned to watch more than he talks. He sees the rhythm. He notices when someone is moving with him instead of around him. And instead of pointing it out or breaking the flow, he just continues being himself. He doesn't speed up or change his behavior to test her. He stays steady. And that steadiness is magnetic. It shows her that you're not performing or trying to impress. You're just existing in your own calm center, and she's welcome to join you there if she wants. Now, let's talk about why these three things matter more than the obvious signals. When a woman is overtly flirting, laughing too loud, touching your arm, complimenting you directly, that's surface level interest. It's often situational. Maybe she's had a drink, maybe she's feeling social, maybe she's testing her own appeal. But when she's doing these three things, brushing against you in passing, touching your belongings, syncing her movements to yours, that's deeper. That's her body trying to get closer to you in ways her mind hasn't fully authorized yet. It's involuntary attraction dressed up as coincidence. And the mature man knows the difference. He doesn't get excited by the loud signals because he's seen them before and he knows they don't always mean what they seem to mean. But these quiet signals, these are the ones that tell him she's thinking about him when he's not looking, that she's imagining what it would be like to be closer, that she's already mentally rehearsing intimacy in the safest way possible. Here's the part most men get wrong. When you notice these signals, your instinct might be to act on them immediately, to escalate, to make a move. But that's the exact opposite of what works. The power in noticing these things isn't in what you do with them. It's in the fact that you're calm enough to see them in the first place. A woman doing these things is testing your awareness and your self-control. She wants to know if you're the kind of man who panics when a woman shows interest, or if you're the kind of man who's been wanted before and doesn't need to rush. When you stay composed, when you acknowledge the moment without pouncing on it, you're showing her that you have options, that you're not desperate, that you understand timing. And that makes her want you more, because now she's not just interested. She's wondering why you're not chasing. And that question living in her mind is far more powerful than anything you could say. So to bring this all together, when she positions herself in your space more than the situation requires, when she touches things that belong to you or that you've just touched, when she mirrors your rhythm and movement, she's not being random. She's creating openings, testing the water, seeing if you're aware enough to notice and mature enough not to overreact. Your job isn't to perform, it's to stay present, to let her come closer without pulling her or pushing her away. To be the kind of man who's comfortable in his own skin and doesn't need validation to know he's valued. That's the advantage you have at this stage of life. You've already learned that the best things don't announce themselves loudly. They show up quietly and wait to see if you're paying attention. Here's my question for you. Have you ever noticed a woman doing one of these three things and only realized what it meant later? Maybe weeks or even months afterward when you looked back and thought, wait, that wasn't an accident. Drop a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear what you've observed. And if this resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Mature Instincts. This is where we talk about the hidden signals most people miss, the psychology behind attraction, the quiet power of presence, all the things that make sense when you've lived long enough to stop guessing and start knowing.